Well, well, well. So, for those of you that can speak Japanese, which I cannot, but this is the Nikkei saying that the government and Bank of Japan intervene to buy the yen. And this comes a session or two after I warned of this risk for today. Um, so, that video is here. I was analyzing the euro, but for those that don't know me, um, I work as an analyst for um, FX Street. FX Street, if you are um, in the industry, whether you're a beginner, intermediate, or advanced, is where you want to be. You've got experts that are writing here actionable news on a daily basis in the analysis section and in the news section. And there's some fantastic tools such as the calendar. There's education. There's really well priced services for education in that respect. But if you want to follow me, you can look me up, and I write here on a daily basis um, throughout the New York session. Um, but some of my articles, they can linger around and could be useful for whatever session you're trading in. So you can just type in my name, I'll come up. I have a background of over 20 years in the Forex space. I worked in London from the early 2000s. I've done a spell on the market making desks, and I progressed to become a desk manager for one of the companies there. I worked for the likes for Investec Bank, client facing analysis on Forex, dealing Forex, spot prices, futures, forwards, derivatives, um, deposit rates, and so forth. So I've got plenty of experience in the market and dealing with treasury managers and financial directors of companies, brokers, and so forth. Um, Now, so these days I'm working as an analyst and volunteer out in Guatemala, um, where I try and reach the people that need to be helped the most in impoverished areas in countries such as Guatemala, where I'm based currently. So, but apart from that, I love Forex and I'm here all day and I'm putting out these videos to try and benefit those of you that, whether you're a beginner, intermediate, advanced traders, analysts, whatever it might be, you can follow me on my YouTube channel for timely analysis, trade setup ideas, strategies, and so on, that should help you in your journey and keep you on the right path, and so on. So, for example, yesterday we were talking about the euro. It was looking really nice for a short. We were looking at the kiwi. We've been looking at that all week. We've been calling that really well all week until the Bank of Japan came out, and the Bank of Japan Ninjas came out and took out the US dollar. So that threw the spanner in the works. But again, the point of the video was to warn of this possibility. Inevitably, they were going to do something at some point, and I just felt that, given that it was a month ago, pretty much to the date, that they admitted to, or they announced that they had intervened, and the market moved some 500 points um, and pips. So we've seen exactly the same scenario um, today. That was this. This is that was then, and this is now. I mean, you can't. It's to the book. Look, so you've got 550 points, and over here 550 points thereabouts. So there we are, and that's exactly what I warned of yesterday. In looking at the euro, for example, we were talking about. So in this title, Eurodollar is carving out the risk of an imminent downside breakout. US reals rocket to the moon, and they had. But I'm putting there, I'm trying to get your attention to this. Rocket to the moon and back. Well, if we look at yields after what happened today, right? So they've tried to continue higher and bang, they're down. And obviously that's going to have an effect on the market. There we are, down. Rocket to the moon and back. And some. What's the other side of the planet? So, and we'll get to that for those of you that are down under in Australia and New Zealand. We were talking about the analysis on the New Zealand dollar. So, in looking at the euro, we were talking about how it was being set up. And again, you can go to this article on FX Street, and it's all there for you. There's still plenty of nuggets in there that could be beneficial for next week. And I'll put out some more analysis maybe over the weekend, but certainly at the start of Asia, there'll be an analysis on the US dollar and gold. I do a weekly analysis before the market opens, specifically on gold. And in there, it will include information on the dollar and yields. And I also, before the market opens, I try and get at least a couple of pre-open analysis on the Aussie and the Euro. But we were talking about in this article that we were just touching on, we were talking about the breakout. So in the Euro, if we look at the Euro, we were looking at this setup here. So 3 pushes up to a trendline resistance that was essentially looking like a symmetrical triangle. Anyway, so what we've had is that Bank of Japan come out and completely throw the spanner in the works, as I did warn. Now, if you're trading in such an environment, you really want to be trading at the optimal level that you can. Get in at the most optimal that you can. That requires skill, patience, knowledge, and so on, all of which we can learn together. And in the hourly scenario, we were looking at these 3 pushes into the upper end of this pattern and the breakdown of structure. It's all in the article. So we got our moves, and we were on point, right, all the way into. I think I talked about here 97. The figure is the target, right? So we weren't far off that by the time that the Bank of Japan hit. So you want to be taking profits in this market. You don't. Swing trading is pretty treacherous. If you're holding it into areas of the week where the risk of the Bank of Japan could jump in at any moment and completely wipe you out. So we were talking about a level of 96. Okay. Yeah, this was the daily chart that I'd actually drawn up at the start of the week, pointing to lower lows. So last week's low would have been a level that was achieved, Friday's lows of last week, etc. We were talking about here the Bank of Japan intervention and so forth. Anyway, so that's the article. You can go and look it up and give you some insight as to what the risks were. Now, with the New Zealand dollar, I've been tracking this all week, and this was the latest video put out yesterday. Had you been following this analysis, then you should have done very well throughout the week, probably around 150 pips, if not more. But what we're looking for are setups, not just in and out of the market trying to catch the latest, um, you know, moving average move or something. So what we're looking here are for setups, and we're using the weekly template. So we talked about how there were still longs in this market, and there were trapped longs here that were getting beaten up. So all of that is explained in the video. And what we had was the move um, into, I mean, this was on target for 13R, right? But the Bank of Japan came along and threw a spanner in the works. But as I said, you want to be taking your profits along the way and looking at the various targets um, as you go. So here, we took out this liquidity, void of volume. So we took out this liquidity area here. We came into the next liquidity area and bang. So that was your target, for a nice touch of 56 figure. Whether you taken it up in Asia or if you'd been in London, the money was there for you all day long today before the Bank of Japan intervened. All right, so we warned of that. We warned that you want to be taking your money off the table at swing points, areas of critical structure, and so on, keeping your stops tight and rolling with the flow of the money. So there we go, and in that, it's all been wiped out for a reset. So we've now got a reset with day one, and we'll see how things pan out on Monday. To my mind, there's still money here to be had, so we'll just have to wait and see. It's really very tricky with the Bank of Japan, and we've got the Fed at the start of November, the first couple of days, 1st and 2nd of November. We've got the RBNZ. I'll have to look that up. Can't remember when it is, but we've got a whole slew of central banks. So the focus should be on the central banks, inflation, and that should be fueling the dollar. But I'll do an analysis properly. I'll sit down, get my specs out, and get into it over this weekend, ready for next weekend. So for those of you that want to steer clear of these types of risks, and for those of you that want to be kept up to date on a daily basis on my analysis, then please go over to the channel. Really easy to find. Ross J. Berland Forex. You can hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. If you press the bell, you know the score, and you should be kept up to date on all of the new analysis that I put out there, trade setup ideas, and so on. So thank you for dropping in. I hope you weren't hurt too bad by this move if you were in it. Maybe even benefited and you were going the other way. So happy days if so. Have a great weekend to everyone. See you next week.